Upcoming events and seminars, Scaring with Sammy. I'm going to be presenting seminars at two conventions coming up quite soon, actually. I'm going to be presenting at HauntCon in Daytona Beach, Florida in February, and then less than a month later, I'll be presenting another seminar at Transworld in St. Louis in March. So because I'm going to be presenting these, I thought that I would introduce myself, give you an idea of a little bit of my background, and my teaching philosophy and teaching goals, and then talk a little bit about the seminars that I'm going to be presenting. So to start off, I'm Jonathan Seth. Actually, I'm Jonathan Seth Glickman, but when I was an actor in New York, my agent said Seth is easier to pronounce than Glickman, so I was Jonathan Seth. Then in various places and theaters that I worked at, including Skull Kingdom in Orlando, they already had a Jonathan there, so for ease, I just went by Seth. And to add to that confusion, for the past 12 years or so, I've been affectionately known as Sammy, because working at Enigma Haunt and Fright Nights at the South Florida Fairgrounds, people met Sammy before they met Jonathan, and I made an impact and they enjoyed it. So I'm affectionately known as Sammy, hence Scaring with Sammy. So I don't mind this. I'm fine with all of this, except it's really, having this many names really doesn't help with marketing. But notwithstanding, I started performing professionally over 30 years ago. I started in Boston. I was working with an opera company, and I was on stage with an improvisation troupe, and I was a singing waiter on the Spirit of Boston. I was a singing waiter at 17 years old, which means I wasn't actually allowed to serve alcohol, so I was the only singing waiter that didn't actually wait tables. While I was in college, I started working at regional theaters and doing summer stock and studying all of these different art forms that we have, black box theater and theater of the absurd, and just wonderful stuff. Then I moved to New York City, and I just there was so much opportunity there. So I was doing mime, mask, clown, commedia dell'arte. I was busking, sang in Lincoln Center, and I was also being sent off to do shows in different places. This is the life of a young actor in New York City at the time. You go to New York, and all the regional theaters around various parts of the country come to New York and hire people and ship them out there so they can say, we have New York actors. So I did shows in Ohio and Illinois and Indiana and South Carolina. I did a tour of the Southeast United States bringing opera to students. And so we do a condensed version of the Barber Seville. I was Figaro. And then we would teach acting and improvisation. So I was teaching at the same time as I was performing. And wherever I went, I always found other gigs and other performance opportunities. So I was doing magic and juggling and creating characters for interactive characters for parties and events, as well as singing with various groups. Then I got to Orlando, and there was even more there. There was more opportunity there. So not only my acting and improvisation, I'm working at Universal Studios, where I'm improvising and working with people on a daily basis. I mean, thousands and thousands of guests per day. I was the Green Goblin, so I'm scaring people in broad daylight, as well as Marx Brothers. I'm Harpo and Groucho, not at the same time. But there was so much opportunity. So I'm also adding stage combat and stunts, and I created a fire show. And it was in Orlando that I had my first opportunity to perform with a professional haunted house. Now, I'd always created haunted characters for various events, but this was my first time actually working with a haunted house at Skull Kingdom in Orlando with some amazing people. And I was known as Seth because they already had a Jonathan there. So I was working with Skull Kingdom in Orlando, and not only that, I was also doing Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios. Universal Studios playing these characters during the day, and at night I was a Q-line actor for the original Psycho Scarapy. There were two of us, so I was half the Q-line team for the original Psycho Scarapy, and I did the Bill and Ted show. The Bill and Ted show, they don't have that anymore, but I did the Bill and Ted show, ripping off my shirt singing "She's My Cherry Pie." That was 20 years ago. I went over to perform in Japan for a couple of years. I worked for Disney and Universal over there, and I was singing in an acapella group doing magic shows, and street comedy, interacting with people in a country that I didn't speak the language, which was quite an experience. Around 12 years ago, when I first started working as an attorney, I found Enigma Haunt in Boca Raton, another professional haunt, and it was amazing. Eventually, they made me an actor trainer and then a manager, and I do want to take just a quick moment and thank you, Karen and Billy Groenveld, for creating that wonderful world for me to play and perform in. So it was wonderful, people were wonderful, so thank you for that. And then after 10 years, it closed, and I was lucky because then I was adopted by Fright Nights at the South Florida Fairgrounds in West Palm Beach. So thank you, Alex Rodriguez and the whole crew there. Wonderful, wonderful people. They've made me, once again, the actor trainer, and I'm part of the management team. I feel like I've missed a lot of things. I probably glossed over a lot of stuff. I was also an ice hockey goaltender. I made it to the finals for the Select 17 Junior Olympics out there in Lake Placid, but my legs got knocked out from under me. I did fire breathing for the In-Sync in-concert video. In-Sync was a big thing, and they toured around the country, and they had the video. That I glossed over and missed a lot of stuff. But the point is that I have been fortunate enough, privileged enough, to be able to work in a large number of different performance disciplines. And to me, I feel that they are all they're very, very separate. They've got crossover, but they all have different requirements and different prerequisites and different goals that they're trying to accomplish. And I feel the same way about haunting as a performance discipline. Some things will cross over and some things really don't. So as I was learning more about the haunt industry, I was taken to Transworld, which was my first convention. And I started watching seminars there. And I went to other conventions and I did research. Wow. I looked on YouTube and podcasts and anything that I could find. And I realized that there were a lot of things that I learned from all of these different performance disciplines that were really applicable to haunting. And there were some things that I feel that I could add to the haunt conversation. Things that either weren't there or weren't explained in a way that I think they could be explained in. So even if it's just a new perspective on something. And that leads to my philosophy on why I am teaching. If somebody is already teaching the subject and I see it there and that's fine, I don't need to teach it again. But if there's something that I feel that needs to be added or could be added, that's why I am teaching a seminar. So if you come to see a seminar from me, you're going to be learning something new, seeing something new, or just seeing it from a different light. Maybe it's broken down into components so that you can process it and learn it. Because I'm all about making things learnable and teachable. In fact, one of the things that I stay away from are the personal story. Your time is precious. Just like with the Scaring with Sammy videos, when I get in, I get what I need to get done and I get out. That's what I'm doing in the seminars as well. I have a small amount of time, I have a lot of information, and that is what I am presenting. And like I said, I want to make it teachable. I'm not just sharing my experiences. Well, in this type of situation, this is what I do, this is what I do. No, I'd rather give you concrete techniques and concepts that work across the board for almost any type of character. I want to make things teachable and learnable. And that leads me to the actual seminars. So first is HauntCon in Daytona Beach, Florida. That's going to be on February 11th, and I'm teaching essential scare actor safety. I'm not teaching operational safety, which is, medical emergencies and fire emergencies. You break character and get them out. That's operational safety, and all haunts should be doing that, and it's being taught very, very well. So I don't need to do that. But I want to add to the conversation about how teaching the actors how they can be interacting in a safe manner, using props in a safe manner. And this is with, once again, concrete techniques and concepts that can be taught and learned. I'm going to do it in 3 different parts. First is prevention and communication, so that we don't create the bad apples and we know where the bad apples are. And this is a team effort. Then I'm going to be talking about safety in the scare itself. So teaching the actors how to scare safely so that they don't get punched, so they don't get hit, so they don't run into the guests, so they don't stab the guests. And at the same time, I'm also giving a little bit of insight into haunt owners as how to sort of insulate yourself from actors that might take things too far or get a bit overboard. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to be any type of defense is perfect. This is not legal advice, but I am going to give some ideas and concepts of how you can better insulate yourself and protect yourself. Finally, I want to talk about when guests are problems and how actors can respond. Once again, with usable, teachable concepts. Less than a month later, on March 7th, I will be presenting a seminar at Transworld in St. Louis, Missouri. I was specifically asked to present a seminar on performing in the queue line. And so that's what I'm doing. It's engaging, entertaining, and scaring in the queue line. So sometimes I find that there's a bit of almost a paradigm that queue line actors are all about being fast-witted. How fast can you say something? How fast can you turn around? You have a comeback for everything, and you can just respond to everything, and that's what it's all about. And that's wonderful, but that's not something that's teachable. And I don't even think that it's necessary. I don't think you have to be the ultimate class clown in order to have an interesting and sustained interaction. In fact, that's what I'm teaching. I am teaching a process, I'm teaching techniques and concepts so that people that even if they aren't the class clown, they can still create those sustained, engaging, immersive, interactive performances. The ones that are really memorable because they're really meeting a character. So we're going to go over these techniques and concepts, and then after that, we're going to go through a little bit of character creation and development so that it's going to broaden those worlds and make them memorable. Then we'll go through character improvisation, scaring, how we have a wider variety of scares that we can effect. So that is pretty much the plan. I've told you a little bit about myself, my philosophy on teaching, my goals for teaching, so you have a bit of an idea of what to expect when you come to one of my seminars. So if you are at HauntCon or if you're at Transworld, please do come to my seminar. Come afterwards, say hi to me because I love talking about haunts. In case you couldn't tell, I'm passionate about this subject. So hopefully I'll see you at HauntCon or Transworld, and that's Scaring with Sammy.